Hi guys! Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Depende kung anong time ka nanonood. I'm Architect Kai, Felix Pahela. I will be presenting to you a lecture about graphics. So ngayong dito sa video na to, pag-uusapan natin ang tungkol sa drawing. And this lecture is entitled, Ano? Drawing lang? You have to say it with feelings. Okay? How do you feel when your client or other people are telling you na ang architecture ay drawing lang? Okay, totoo ba to? Yes or no? But we are going to discuss a lot about drawings kasi kahit pa sabihin natin na hindi lang drawing ang architecture, whole or a huge part of it revolves around drawings, and a lot of our time is being spent into making these drawings. It takes a lot of our dedication and effort. Kaya kailangan natin siyang pag-aralan at i-master. So for this lecture, we are going to talk about the types of drawing, particularly mechanical drawings that we do as architects. So una, define muna natin what drawing is. Drawing is a technique that allows the visual world to be understood. So for us, for designers and architects alike, drawing is a technique, it is a tool for the world to understand kung ano yung aspeto ng visual world para ma-visualize natin yung mga ideas natin. So aside from drawings, we also have other techniques like paggawa ng 3D models. Okay, so may mga ganyan tayo. We also present our works. We do yung verbal na presentation, yung oral presentation, and drawing is a big part of making presentation so that the client and other people can understand what the design is all about. So drawing is considered as a designer's language. Para maiparating niya yung idea niya, it has to be drawn on paper. Yun nga, para for easier visualization. And it's also a means of problem solving. So, pag gumagawa tayo ng design, di ba nire-require tayo to make sketches or para gumawa tayo ng mga diagrams pertaining to our design. There are a lot of drawings na nagko-correspond sa pre-design na kailangan natin gawin before we arrive to the final output. So, it's also a means of problem solving. Naiisip mo, you write it on paper or you sketch it on paper. It helps you think, it helps you analyze kung ano yung kailangan mo doon sa design mo. And then, it also represents buildings. Yan yung nagiging basihan ng mga contractors, yung mga partners natin in construction, mga allied professionals natin, na magre-represent doon sa building. So, kaya napaka-importante na may drawings tayo para masundan doon sa site. So, una, meron tayong two-dimensional drawings. Ang tawag dito ay mga orthographic projection. These are the plans, sections, and elevations. Familiar na kayo sa design na ito yung mga nire-require na drawing sa inyo o yung mga drawing requirements. So, una, i-review lang natin. A plan is a horizontal cut through an object, building, or space, typically directed down. Ito yung sinasabi ng mga prof ninyo na kunwari nasa taas ka, looking down, may kita mo yung plan. Okay? So, ang floor plan naman, pinapakita niya kung ano yung sakop ng architectural space. So, kung ang structure mo na buo, ikakat mo sa gitna or somewhere at 4 feet or 1.2 meters, 1.5, makikita mo yung laman ng floor level na yon. Makikita mo yung designation ng rooms and these are labeled as such, diba? A roof plan naman is a horizontal cut above a building mass looking directly down onto the roof. So, imbis na nakakat yung building, the viewer is above the building looking directly onto the roof level. So, yun naman yung roof plan. And here is an example. So for this particular plan, nakita natin yung furniture. That's why it's labeled as furniture layout. So naka-label na din dito yung mga furniture na kailangang iset up doon sa loob. So that's just one example. Another plan is a reflected ceiling plan or a horizontal cut that depicts the ceiling plane. So instead na from above the building looking down, a reflected ceiling plan is kunwari humiga ka sa floor, nakita mo yung kisame. So yun yung dinidepict niya. And then a site plan is drawn from above all of the building. So buong site, dinrawing mo, nilagay mo yung placement ng mga buildings or outdoor spaces, kung may parking area ka, kung meron kang garden or a park or a plaza outside of the building. So yung surrounding context nung site, yung siguro part of the vicinity, anong mga lote yung katabi niya, and kung nasan banda yung road. So this is an example of a site development plan. We can see here naka-label na yung mga residential lots around this particular lot wherein the house is going to be built. Ito yung street, ayun yung orientation ng north, and yung road is just in front ng property. And then, as a review, an elevation is a vertical section cut outside of the object. So, nasa labas ka, looking onto whatever side it is of the building or of the object. A section is a vertical cut through an object. So, hinati mo sa gitna yung object o yung iyong building. So, pag hinati mo siya, when you present it dun sa section, may kita na yung interiors, yung pagkakahati-hati ng walls, ng floor, and yung site kung saan siya nakatayo. So, this is an example of an elevation. So, when you reflect it, dito sa drawing sa ibaba, nakalagay dyan yung longitudinal section across itong axis na to. So, hinati lang siya. The truss details are not shown here. So, it's in a different drawing. Pero nakalabel dyan, see truss detail, and then nakashade yung mga walls, and also yung section nung level niya nakalagay dito. Kasama na rin yung outdoor. Okay. Next, three-dimensional drawings. Meron tayong dalawang klase. We have the axonometric drawings and the perspective drawings. Ang pinag-aralan ninyo last sem, alam ko na-tackle na tong axonometric drawings. Pero for this particular semester, we will be studying perspective drawings. So, axonometric drawings, objective siya, three-dimensional representation. So, kinumbine lang natin yung plan and elevation in one abstract drawing. So, it's very objective. Ibig sabihin, kung ano yung sukat, yung totoong sukat ng elevation, marireflect dito sa mga sides na nakadraw. For example, this one is an isometric drawing. So, yung plan niya, pag tiningnan natin yung mismong plane, it's still on the 90-degree angle, yung mga corners. Itong dalawang side na to are inclined, naka 45 degrees sila. So, may mga isometric drawings din tayo na 30 degrees on one side and 60 degrees on the other side. So, that's also the reason why yung mga triangles natin, meron tayong 45-45 at meron tayong 30-60 para makagawa ng isometric drawings. And then, yung mga sukat is consistent all throughout. So, kung ano yung length na present doon sa plan, yun din ang length nitong line na ito. So, yung height niya is also the same as what is shown in the elevation. Kaya napaka-objective nitong drawing na to kasi it stays true to the dimensions of the object. So, pag sinabi naman nating oblique o yung plan oblique, so, instead na 90 degree ito, it's oblique. Kumbaga, hindi siya yung nirotate mo lang yung drawing. So, may konting distortion na nangyayari. Alright, so I think this is 30 degrees and 30 degrees also on the other side. So now, tingnan naman natin kung ano yung pagkakaiba nito sa perspective drawings. So brief background, perspective drawings are, ang unang gumamit nito, first known person to use the linear perspective is si Filippo Brunelleschi. Si Filippo Brunelleschi is an Italian architect. At noong nagpunta siya sa Rome to study the buildings, the way architects study architecture then was to look into buildings and observe them. May dala silang sketchpad and then kung ano yung makikita nila according to their perception, kinokopya nila, ini-sketch nila. So yun yung basic way for them to to study architecture is observation and then drawing. So, Filippo Brunelleschi, upon going to Rome, so madami na siya nakitang mga buildings, he devised a way para mas maging accurate yung mga drawings. Para if there's a way to measure itong mga lines na to, para kahit papano malapit sa katotohanan. And so, he devised yung paggamit ng linear perspective. And then later on, si Leon Battista Alberti, another Italian architect, sinulat niya itong treatise on linear perspective doon sa librong De la Pintura. And as time progressed, nagkaroon na tayo ng somewhat a guide on how to do perspective drawings na kahit papano accurate sa tunay na makikita natin according to our perception. So, perspective drawings is defined as the translation of three-dimensional spaces into a two-dimensional surface. Ang tinutukoy natin dyan na three-dimensional spaces, yung na-observe natin sa surroundings natin. That's three-dimensional. Mahahawakan natin, magagamit natin like a table. For example, makita natin yung depth, yung width, and yung height ng table, and we can also use it. Pero if you're going to translate that into a two-dimensional surface, you can either sketch that or you can do it in a way that is very systematic. So, ang two-dimensional surface dito na tinutukoy is most commonly yung papel na ginagamit natin in the form of a drawing. So, taken from the point of view of a person, the perspective depicts visual experience and perception of space. So, kahit pa hindi natin nakikita ang mga bagay-bagay ng personal, pwede nating ma-envision through drawings. So, nung time kasi ni na Brunelleschi at saka ni Alberti, wala pang photographs. Ngayon kasi, madali na lang, pipicturean mo and then you can send it to another person or you can post it in social media or send it by email. So before, wala silang ganung means so that makikita ng ibang tao yung isang space or may envision nila, so they have to draw it. Sa atin ngayon, madali na lang because of the technology that we can take photographs. Pero at that time, dahil wala pa nga yung ganun technology, they were looking for a way na ma-depict itong visual experience na to as accurate as possible. So, ang perspective drawing, kagaya nito, as you can see here, meron tayong yung viewer or yung observer can look into an object in different areas, in different locations, looking to an object. Yung nakasabit dun sa taas, okay, looking down, ang makikita niya yung na view ay yung plan ng object. Okay, and there are many variations to this. One of the factors here is saan siya nakalocate yung observer. Part from the location of the object, saan yung observer, gaano siya kalayo. Okay, and kung may iba pa bang objects sa paligid. Pero as you can see here, nakafocus lang sila sa isang object. So that's just one observer depicted sa iba't ibang locations. So yan, pumirmi na siya. Pumirmi na siya sa isang posisyon. So, ang ma-observe natin dito, tinitingnan niya yung table and sa viewpoint niya, ganito ang itsura nung table. Okay? So, yung mata niya is above the table at a certain height. And then, tinrace din kung ano yung mga lines of sight niya para makabuo ng ganitong image. Okay? So, how do we translate it into drawing? So, let's define some of the terms. Alright. So, i-define muna natin ano-ano itong mga labels na nakalagay, yung mga terminologies regarding perspective drawings. Okay, so una, SP or station point. It is the location of the observer in space. So, nakalagay lang dito kung saan ang location ni observer. Okay? Saang point siya nakatayo or nakaupo or nakatungtong. So, yun yung station point. And then, the picture plane is this one. Itong namamagitan kay observer and kay object. So, parang pag nag-drawing kasi tayo ng perspective, we are drawing on the picture plane. So, tinitrace yung galing sa station point, yung line of sight is being traced, and kung saan siya mag-intersect doon sa picture plane, yun yung basehan ng perspective drawing. So, that's the picture plane. A transparent plane intersecting the cone of vision, ito, yung mga line of sight ni observer, that receives the projected perspective image and is perpendicular to the viewer. Pag tiningnan natin to sa plan, the SP is just a dot, and then the picture plane or PP is just a line, and then the object is shown in a plan or a drawing. Yung drawing niya is just the top view. So, another thing that we can see here is yung sight line. So, it's a line that extends from the SP, eye level niya, through the picture plane to the object. So, if you're going to imagine itong SP or yung station point, itong sight line niya, imagine a horizontal line crossing the picture plane. That is the sight line o yung height nung mata nung viewer or ng observer. And then, the horizon line is depicted, it depicts the eye level of an average height viewer. So, it's conventionally 1.52 meters above the ground plane. So, it's either, ito sinisimplify na lang natin to. Usually, ginagawa yung 1.5 meters or 2 meters. Okay, so yun yung most commonly used na height or height ng horizon. So, depende yan sa preference. Pero, usually kasi 1.5 yan. Hindi na 1.52 kasi pag nakascale tayo, mahirap na i-depict yung 0.02 na karagdagan dun sa 1.5. Okay, so that's the horizon line. Another thing about the horizon line, kapag ang viewer or yung station point mo is higher than the horizon, mag-a-adjust pa yan. Kasi yun yung it will become lower doon sa or higher, depende kung saan nakalocate yung observer. Okay, so one thing that we can see here, ito, alam naman natin to lahat, na kapag malayo ka sa object, mas maliit ito sa paningin. So if move far away, far enough, the image appears small. Kasi yun yung perception ng mata natin. So the closer the thing or the object is to us, mas malaki tingnan. Okay? So, that's already common sense to us. Okay, so dito naman makikita natin, so this point here is called the vanishing point or VP, ang label. So, it's a common point on the horizon line where parallel lines converge. So, may kita natin dito sa totoong buhay, itong table na to, pantay siya, hindi ganyan, hindi nakaanggulo. So, we can assume that itong tabletop is rectangular in shape. Pero, dahil sa perspective, dahil sa perception natin, nagkakaroon ng angle. So, instead na pantay ito or perpendicular itong side niya, it becomes angled towards the vanishing point. So, itong mga parallel lines na to, isa lang ang patutunguhan yan, which is the vanishing point. This line here is the eye level of the observer. Okay, so in this drawing, yung observer, minove lang siya dito so that we can see yung linya ng vanishing point. Okay? So, the observer is standing aside, pero kung tutuusin, dito talaga siya nakapwesto para makita itong view na to sa picture plane. Okay? So, ito yung eye level niya, hinati, so that we can form this kind of image sa loob ng picture plane. Yung picture plane na yan, yan din yung madidepict sa perspective drawings ninyo. So, when eye level is parallel to the ground plane, eye level and the horizontal line will be one and the same. Pero nagkakataon dito that the eye level is higher than the ground plane. So, ito yung ground plane natin, kung saan nakapatong itong table na ito, itong object. So, this lecture is brought to you by the following references. And if you have any questions regarding this topic, pwede kayong mag-comment at pwede rin kayong mag-comment dun sa post natin sa Teams or dito mismo sa video. Okay, so please stand by for your next activity, which will be a practice on the one-point perspective. So, it's not yet mentioned here, pero may tatlong klase ng perspective. At doon sa mga perspective na yon, let me just bring back the slides. So, talking about vanishing point, so dito sa particular drawing na to, the vanishing point is iisa lang. So, this is what you call a one-point perspective kasi isa lang yung vanishing point. Pero meron din tayong mga perspective drawing that uses 2 vanishing points and 3 vanishing points. So, they are named 2-point perspective and 3-point perspective respectively. Okay? So, that will be discussed on our future lectures. So, thank you guys for listening today, and I hope naintindihan yung ating lesson for this video. And if you already watched this video, please don't forget to react and share this to your classmates so that they will be informed about this topic. So, thank you for watching this lecture, and hoping to see you on our next synchronous class. Bye. Stay safe.